Verified.
11 meters up. Vehicle and shutdown.
3 contact sensors tripped.
Engine shutdown confirmed.
Ours nominal vehicle is charging.
IMU reports lunar gravity and it is stable.
Alcon, Chief Engineer on Ops. Y'all select the landing. We're on the moon.
Firefly Aerospace just became the first commercial company in history to complete a fully successful moon landing. Congratulations to the entire team. This is such an incredible feat for Firefly, NASA, our nation, and the world as we pave the way for a lasting lunar presence.
Congratulations, Bridget. And to our Firefly. So now we're on the surface and we're standing by, as I mentioned, for that first image, which should be ready in just some moments. But Blue Ghost is on the moon for the first time. And we know that image won't be the same quality that we've seen over the course of this mission or while it was in transit. And that's because she's just getting settled in her new home and getting all of the comms and things sorted out. Teams have been working towards this moment and will continue to stand by as we anticipate that image. We also want to check back in with Tony, who's with Chris Colbert. Tony?
Thank you, Nilofer. Joining me is Chris Colbert, manager for NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative. Chris, I mean, what a time to be alive.
Woo! We did it! Congratulations, Firefly. Awesome job.
That's right. Now, Chris, can you tell us why it's so important that NASA has the CLPS initiative and that we have multiple companies sending our NASA instruments to the moon?
So CLPS was designed to help us learn how to go to the moon. We haven't done it in 60 years, and we're doing it a different way, utilizing commercial companies to get us there. We're using multiple commercial companies because we want to be able to fly a lot of missions relatively quickly. So we're hoping to get lower cost missions at a faster pace, and we just have proof it works. We landed on the moon almost perfectly.
That's right. You know, and speaking of the moon, I guess, why the moon specifically? Like, why was that location chosen for CLPS as opposed to any other location in the universe?
Well, let's start with the first part is because the moon is close. It's relatively easy to get to. We can get to it in just a few days. But it's also a key part of the Moon to Mars strategy for the agency. The Artemis program and getting humans back to the moon and on to Mars. Starting here with the smaller landers and letting us learn about the moon is a big part of what CLPS is for.
You know, on that note, do you think then that CLPS could one day expand to cover other destinations like Mars?
Well, what I think we're seeing here is that commercial companies are very successful. So we want to take advantage of those capabilities and the growing industrial base in the United States and the American companies, what they bring to the table, to allow us to broaden our exploration. It's a key part of the Artemis strategy, is to take advantage of commercial companies. And as we just proved tonight, they can do it. They can do it really well.
That's right. You know, now that we have another commercial company on the moon, how does it feel to see this initiative underway and producing results?
It's astounding. This is amazing. I can't say enough good words about the Firefly team. They did just such amazing work all the way through, and that was kind of a picture-perfect landing. Everything worked beautifully all the way through this mission. They knew what they were doing. They solved every problem that came in front of them. This is just an amazing feeling. It demonstrates that what NASA started with 5 years ago can work, that we can utilize these commercial companies at a fraction of our normal cost, and we can get to the moon. We've got another landing coming up in just 5 more days, and 6 more planned over the next 3 years. So we've got a lot of moons coming, and this works.
That's right. I mean, you just mentioned we have another moon landing coming up very shortly. Can you tell us a little bit more about those future CLPS flights, what we can look forward to and when?
Sure. So part of what we're doing here, Nikki Fox mentioned it earlier, we're helping learn more about the moon to prepare us for taking humans back. So we're flying an increasingly complex series of instruments to the moon and demonstrations of technology to help advance our capability prior to taking the humans there, to make it safer and more productive when they do get there. We'll see those missions scattered out fairly consistently over the next 3 to 4 years as our instruments are matured and put together, and we take advantage of what we learned from these early missions. You've heard a lot today about the instruments on this mission. We'll learn from those instruments and make adjustments to the instruments we fly in the future. And you'll see those spread out over the next 2 to 3 years so that by the time we take humans back, we know a lot about the moon.
That's cool. I'm very much looking forward to that. I mean, Chris, you know, thank you so much again for joining us here. Now, we'll send it back to our hostess, to Nilofer and Bridget.
Thank you both, and thank you, Chris, for guiding the entire CLPS team since day one. I know it's an accomplishment, and I know that I am not alone as I express gratitude for your guidance and support over the years. We are all so grateful for you. Now, we do have something exciting that we've all been waiting for. Do you want to tease the audience a little bit more, or what do you think?
Well, we have that lunar image ready.
Do we?
Let's go ahead and share that with the team here.
All right, you're seeing it here first.
Look at that view.
I'm feeling a little bit emotional, and I'm feeling over the moon. Now, when I look up at the moon from down here, I will always remember this exact moment and the fact that Blue Ghost Mission 1 is in the northeast region in Mare Crisium. What an incredible sight. Bridget, can you tell us what we're looking at right now?
Yeah, so this will be one of those cameras on the lunar lander. We're looking at that lunar surface, so you can see the various features of that regolith, the craters, some rocks, and that vision navigation system did such a phenomenal job finding what looks like a relatively flat surface for us to land on. And then obviously you can see some portion of our lander in that image as well.
Now, this is that low quality image we anticipated, but Firefly expects to share more imagery and insights at the upcoming news briefing.
That's right. We'll get that X-band imagery, and then we'll actually also be able to get that video from landing.
Now, before we get ready to wrap, what else is next for Firefly, Bridget?
In the coming weeks, Firefly is scheduled to launch Lockheed Martin's LM-400 satellite on our next Alpha rocket. The Firefly team is also gearing up for our next mission to the moon in 2026. Another NASA CLPS task order, but this time we're going to utilize a 2-stage spacecraft configuration with Firefly's Blue Ghost lander with a stacked Elytra orbital vehicle to support operations in lunar orbit and on the far side of that moon. To learn more about the rest of Firefly's upcoming missions, you guys can always check out fireflyspace.com/missions. And I know NASA has a lot coming down the pipeline too. What do y'all have in store for us?
We do. We are busy. So CLPS continues to be an example of how NASA is enabling commercial services at the moon to support long-term lunar exploration. We have more CLPS deliveries that are planned through 2028, and the next CLPS lunar landing is coming up. Intuitive Machines' IM-2 mission is just days away to landing on the moon on March 6th at Mons Mouton, which is near the moon's south pole, which you can follow on all of our NASA channels. On top of the next moon landing, we also have a launch. We're launching 2 new NASA science missions together in the coming days. NASA's newest space telescope, FIREFLY'S, and its rideshare Punch will lift off from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Now, then after that, we do have the launch of Crew 10 to the International Space Station, which is targeting no earlier than March 12th, as well as the return of Crew 9 shortly after. And beyond that, there's Artemis 2, the first crewed mission of the Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System rocket, which is scheduled for no later than April 2026. Bridget, it's been a privilege to sit next to you as we go through this historic moment, and we are looking forward to that all-important data that Blue Ghost will gather from the lunar surface. So thank you so much for joining us for this joint moon landing coverage of Firefly's Blue Ghost Mission 1, which delivered 10 NASA instruments to the northeast region of the near side of the moon.
And that's going to be a wrap for us tonight. We are incredibly proud of what this team has accomplished today. We want to thank you all for joining us. Be sure to tune into the joint Firefly and NASA press conference that's set to begin at 4:30 a.m. Central or 5:30 a.m. Eastern on NASA Plus and Firefly YouTube. We do plan to share our HD imagery we talked about and that descent video during that time. And we'll also provide more in-depth updates on the mission ahead.